So we really do get to talk about so many exciting things that will be happening in San Diego this year. AIA San Diego, as Mike alluded to, and thank you for having us. We will be hosting the national conference for the first time in 23 years here in San Diego, so Ben and I will go deep into that. It is an absolute historic opportunity, not just for our organization, but for our city, right? Our architectural community, everyone who cares about the built environment, what makes a city great. So we're going to touch on all those things. If you don't already know, our mission is there, but really our three main core areas of focus are supporting architects at every stage of their careers, advocating for equity, diversity, inclusion, and design, and elevating the profession as a force for thriving communities. So civic engagement, as Mike was alluding to, is part and parcel to that mission. So I'm going to now turn it over to Ben, who will talk about the programs that we are endeavoring to share with you this year.
No, thank you, Bennett, and thanks for the introduction, Mike, as well. And as Mike alluded to, Bennett has just joined our organization here in the last 6 months or so, and it's been a fantastic opportunity. You can feel the enthusiasm and the authenticity of Bennett just in his story earlier, and so we're really excited to have that energy and passion coming to the AIA. In my year as president this year, we're trying to do several things, and I think at the most basic core, and it didn't start with me, it's been building over the last few years, through COVID and through a lot of other things. I think that our voice has been a little bit quieter than it should be in our city as architects, and so we're working to create a program that builds relevance for what we have to say and what we can share with the city. And we're really working to create a year-long program that expands who we talk to, expands what we think as architects we have to share with the city. And so we're going to talk about, in broad pictures, what our full year looks like. And then right in the middle in June is the national convention that Mike alluded to. So that's a big piece of this year. But I think it's really, we're seeing it as, one, an opportunity for the 10 to 15,000 people that are coming to our city. How can we showcase what we have that's fantastic in San Diego and let that be more visible? At the same time, how can we use that energy locally to build a little bit more resilience for what we do, a little bit more energy and excitement around it, and help propel us in the coming years to have more activation. So those are our two big goals. So with that, I think maybe we'll go to the calendar as a start.
Absolutely. Let me mention one quick thing that I put in the slide that should have been after this slide. The point is that San Diego chapter is just one of 210 chapters for AIA National and International. So we are the largest design organization in the world. You can see the numbers. We're up to 101,057 members worldwide. That's all I wanted to say with the slide.
Part of a big community, yeah. So you can't read this.
Oh.
It's okay. No, I mean,
You still can. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me do this. I'm going to go directly to our website live right now.
Well, go back to the thing you can't read for 1 second.
Okay.
And you can point it out.
Yeah, the point here that we wanted to make is we just had a really good board meeting last month, and the point of that meeting was, let's look at the calendar for the year. What can we do in this year? And so we're not going to go through every one of these things, but every one of these stickies is an event that we're having that's engaging architects and the community at large. And so we're going to talk about some of our bigger ones today, and Bennett's going to kind of walk us through how to get to our calendar on the website, and we encourage you to take a look and come get involved in things that are interesting to you.
Absolutely. So on our website, aiasandiego.org, so I know you have that memorized and you can pass that along to future generations. The program, other programs and events is our calendar here. Click on that, and it obviously starts with March. I'm going to go ahead and, which month would you like me to stay on for a bit?
Go to May, maybe.
Okay, so in May, our first major event in May.
Yeah, so Regional Firm Roundtable. So this is one, and all of these events, this is not us inventing them. These are things that the AIA has done over the years, but we're bringing them together. And we haven't done all of them in a year So this is a very specific one to our industry. This is for architects. So we're bringing down representatives from AIA California to talk to us about some of the legislation that's going on statewide that affects how we design locally. And this is an opportunity for, it used to be called the big firm roundtables. You needed to be at scale to come into the room. We've changed it this year. So this is just, if you are a leader of a firm within San Diego, Palomar region, you're welcome and come and learn about the state, but also we'll have a big breakfast and we'll have everybody just have a round table, so peer-to-peer conversations about what's going on in the industry.
So that's May 7th, Thursday morning for breakfast. Part of that conversation also includes the fact that about a month ago, about 700 executive leaders for AIA chapters were in DC, and 587 of us were on the Hill, Capitol Hill, lobbying for legislation that is detrimental, against legislation that's detrimental to our industry. So we're lobbying to educate our congressional leaders that this is our stance and this is what we would like you to support so that we have more freedom of innovation, financial support for studying architecture, because that is, classification has been moved out of being able to be federal grant funds for school. And that means that only families with resources can send their kids to become architects going forward, and that is not acceptable, right?
And then, this is a pretty industry-specific event, but more accessibly. So on the 21st, we have the first of 4 lectures. So we have a lecture series that happens quarterly. The month of May will be Jennifer Luce. It's going to be her speaking about her work, and it'll be here in the Balboa Park area in the Mingay. And so that's something where it's free to any student. So we're trying to really expand accessibility for students. I don't know actually the dollar amount. It's a nominal fee for folks that aren't students. It's really not about making money. It's about spreading the value of design and architecture in our community. Jen is local, which is great. We also have folks that we bring in from around the country and internationally at times. So keep your eye out for that if that's of interest.
Oh, yeah. So then we'd be in a conference.
Yeah, and so the month of June is the big one. Yeah, so we can go into that a little bit.
Okay, so let me help with that. Let me go back to our PowerPoint presentation slides, which is here. So we spoke a little bit about the design awards. So the architecture design event of the year, that is not speaking lightly actually, because this conference is going to include, you can't see the graphics, but you go to conferenceonarchitecture.com to see all this, and I'll help navigate through it with you here actually. Oh, did you want to mention communities by design, or we want to start with the conference?
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Okay, let me do this real quickly. Sorry, conference on architecture.com. All right, so maybe you can see that better. Not really. Well, you know what? There's a cool little video I'm going to play first for you. Okay, stop. So you will be able to really navigate through the website and all the richness. In summary, essentially 350 sessions, 287 speakers, 55 tours, 20 open studios. We expect 12,000 to 15,000 attendees from around the world. It's going to be massive. So we spoke about the tours. These are architect-led tours, very, very special. There are, as I mentioned, over 50 of them, and some of them are here. Ben, would you like to highlight any of them in particular?
I think what we're trying to do, so National is coming, in some ways it's an insular experience, because you go to a city, you're in a convention center, and it's learning about national topics of architecture. Our mission locally is how do we open up the doors and let people see our city and have experiences. So the tours are a big part of that. One of the ones that we're really excited about, Bennett has been a big help in making this happen, is we believe that the connection, the binational connection with Tijuana is really important to our region and who we are. So we have secured a tour working closely with National where you can go into TJ and Bennett's helped us find a guide. I don't know if she is here.
Laura, are you in the house? She said she might try to make it. She's the one who's coordinated the architecture sites, the architects. She has been a big voice in Tijuana city government and in the design scene for at least 3 generations that I've known her personally. And so she has created these tours of Tijuana. In fact, you know what? It was one of the first ones at the top. And the Valle de Guadalupe, by the way. There's a little description there. When else is a visitor coming to San Diego going to get the privilege of literally being with like-minded people on a completely organized bus tour of Tijuana architecture with a special coordination with the border agency to expedite crossing? And all of that is huge. So this is pretty much sold out, by the way.
Yeah, I want to wait 2 hours.
And I feel so really proud of our colleagues from around the world that have said, yeah, if that's going to happen, I'm there, because when else am I ever going to be able to do that? That is truly special. So that is like practically sold out in the first week. The Valle de Guadalupe one, I don't know if it's exactly sold out, but it's darn close. And the only ones that were more popular than that from the get-go in the first week, I think we have over 2,300 registrants already, and the website only went up February 19th. Is the Harbor Cruise, Architect like Harbor Cruise. That's a no-brainer, right? We all want to be on that anyway. And so that one is the most popular one by far.
And we'll have, I mean, it's a really wide range. There's historic properties. The Salk Institute obviously is one of those. Heritage Architecture is helping curate some of the Dell and some others. There's also, we have a really rich history of the developer architect mind in San Diego. So Ted Smith on, so several of the young developer architects have gotten together and they're doing a 4-property tour that I think is going to be really exciting and a lot of energy in that. So we're trying to really span, generationally and scale and architecturally what's going on in our city.
There you go. So peruse, everyone you can click on and do a deep dive on any one of these tours. So there's no shortage of things to choose from, including Miller Hall. Well, there's the Valle de Guadalupe one. Let me click on it. There you go. All right.
And then the second thing that we're trying to do with the conference, this is something that they offer, is called Open Studio. And so this is an opportunity for any local firms to open their doors in an evening. And it's a small fee. I think it's $20 to attend, but any conference attendee can come and do an open house and they can learn about the work that they're doing, the staff that's there. And in that one, we're also able to collect, most of the funds go back to National. We get a little bit of stipend, but we've been able to negotiate a few things. In this one, any of the funding that goes to that goes into our scholarship fund, which we award annually. So we're really proud about that. And we've been able to coordinate these through neighborhoods. There's been a lot of support. We're really excited about the membership that stepped up. They're doing their part to really showcase what's happening there. There you go.
Cool. All right. So the touch points for the conference, really briefly, and I'm going to mention it because I spent the time writing it down. Idea exchange, right? Seriously, this collective of extraordinarily talented, passionate designers, urban planners, are going to be in the house. Can't miss the opportunity to do that. Instead of the normal registration fee for students, we've negotiated and figured out for all students, a full registration is only $35.
Wow.
If every architecture student at wannabe architectures doesn't attend, I gotta question how serious they are about being an architect, because this giveaway is never gonna happen again. Because the last time it was here, remember, was 23 years ago. So it's been
Is
a
there
very
an
long
age
time.
limit?
Young at heart, I'm good with young at heart.
I'm not a teacher discount, I'm just kidding.
If you have a .edu, email, house, you know where I live, you know where I am, all right.
The email won't tell you how old you are.
Yeah, this is true. All right,
Related
so
to that, though, there's also a mentorship program happening at the conference, and that's an opportunity
Yes.
for people to get involved. So the students that are coming can sign up for, there's both a K through 12 program. Those kids are gonna get to go walk around the floor, and they'll have people that will guide them, architects that will. And then at the higher education level, there's a full day of mentorship. Architects will sign up. They'll go to some of the sessions with them, and then they'll have kind of a debrief afterward to talk about what they learned, what they heard.
And I will be remiss if I don't mention this is the biggest trade show, industry trade show each year, and it's gonna be here. So it has its own video. I would like to play. You'll indulge me if I didn't just mess that one up. Which I did.
No, you didn't mess it up.
I didn't. Okay, well, you know where it is. I don't know why I went so forward. There it is. All right, apologies. Let me play that. Oh, it keeps pulling up. Does that mean, is it supposed to play? That's all right. Just know there's going to be, I forget what the number, it says it on there somewhere.
Actually, if you scroll down,
There's left.
there's a,
left.
there's.
The black button, the little left button.
There it is. Thank you. There it is. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you for walking me through that. I am going to have you and my staff. Thank you. So that's the conference. Do you want to?
Well, a few more things. Yeah, go to the Communities by Design.
Yes.
So a lot of what we've been talking about is how are we showing the world what we do. We're also trying to think about how can we take advantage of the 12 to 15,000 experts that are coming to our city.
Yeah.
And so Communities by Design is an opportunity that was brought to us, and this is done by Architectural Foundation, National Architectural Foundation. And they said, hey, if you guys have an area of challenge in your city that you'd like for us to bring experts into to talk about, let us know. Let's coordinate something. And so I don't know how many people are familiar with it. We've been trying to figure out what to do with the core of our downtown for about, I don't know, 100 years.
Always.
Yeah. And so there's a new request for proposal plan for the end of this year to figure out what to do with it. It's about 6 blocks in the core of our city. The Civic Theater is one of those components down there. And so we've been able to, over the last year and a half, we've been talking with the city and working to get some of the AIA's voice into that so that we can at least contribute some thought to how the RFP might want to go. How do we maintain public benefit in that space when it gets developed? And so we've been able to reach agreement with them. The Conrad Previs Foundation is very heavily involved in it. Downtown Partnership is heavily involved in it.
Well, to be clear, the leads are the Downtown San Diego Partnership, funded by the Previs Foundation. So they've allowed us to join in to the conversation to ensure that our wealth of industry experts can be part of making sure that we're ever really going to do this and get this thing finally designed, planned, implemented, financed, that we do it right.
Yes. And they've been, we've had a couple of meetings initially. We're all aligned on the goals for it and how to get there. So it's been a really fantastic partnership so far. And then at the conference, there'll be a full day where we'll have 50 architects or planners that sign up, and they'll come in, and we're going to have a charrette with the city and with the Downtown Partnership. So we're excited about that. We're not sure what will come out of it, but I think it'll have a lot of good ideas and good energy around. And we're one of the many ways that we're trying to engage with the planners of our city and make progress here.
Absolutely. Very, very cool. So that's the conference. You guys probably want to hear about where our discounts are. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. Let's see. All right. Fly through this. We talked about that. Oh, but first, we're not done with the conference. Oh, tease. Okay, we're gonna stretch it out even longer.
And I might have an ask out of this one actually for you guys.
Yes.
So in the big expo floor, there was an opportunity for us to either kind of hang out with National, or we could kind of make our own stamp on the conference and invite people in. So, you know, I'm a big fan of saying yes to everything that comes in front of me, which doesn't always do me well. We said, yeah, we want to do that. We want to make a booth. And so we've been working with some local fabricators, and then this is you know, life works this way sometimes. We're like 3/4 into figuring out what we're going to do, trying to figure out how we're going to pay for it. An old student of mine calls me up one day and says, hey, I just started working with this timber company. We have this big booth we're designing for a mass timber conference. We don't know what we're going to do with it afterward. Do you have any ideas what you could do with it?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
No, I don't. Give it to Alan.
So this is, you know, it's a beautiful structure. It's going to be made out of dowel laminated timber, which is a newish product in the industry. It's very beautiful. It's large. This is like 20 by 30 feet, 17 feet tall. It'll be very prominent.
It makes a statement.
Makes a statement, yeah. So this will be our home base at the conference for anybody that's there. And then, you know, it's beautiful, but it's not exactly San Diego necessarily. And so, yeah, so we've partnered with Texture as a local fabricator, you can find out. And so our charge with them is how do we bring San Diego to this element? And so 2 possible asks for you guys. So what we've created with them is this is going to be kind of a wave that makes its way through that pavilion, kind of leads you in, leads you out. And it'll be an armature. Some of it will be branding our, you know, our organization, but the mesh is a 6-inch by 6-inch mesh, and we're going to fill it with photographs of San Diego architecture, local architects, local work, so that when you walk through this, you just get this kaleidoscope of local there. And we're also hoping to have a digital screen involved where, I was talking with Lauren about it earlier, we want to showcase historic San Diego information as well as new projects, all the recent award winners that have had either an orchid through the San Diego Architectural Foundation or an AIA award. So we're just trying to curate material there. Our city, unlike a lot of cities that this conference happens in, is very dispersed, whether it's because it's bi-national in Tijuana or just because of the land area. So it's challenging for visitors to come. They're not going to be like in Boston and go walk around and see everything. Right. And so our hope is that this is a moment that we can use to really help everybody understand the beauty that is our full San Diego region. So that's the goal here.
Yeah, if you can notice, this is going to end up sloping from low to 8 feet tall. So it's very sizable. That building structure will be in the middle of it. So when you see this gap here, imagine that structure is in the middle, and this goes in and out on either side of it. So it leads you in and out through that structure. So it'll be very flowing, interactive, inviting in there. And the monitor, the screen that Ben mentioned, we also are planning to have videos, images from architects from Tijuana, because not everyone will get to go on the tour. So how do we make sure that they come to this corner of the United States and they realize that the Baja California mega region, we are one, right? We are tied at the hip and at the waist, and we are completely dependent upon each other. And so they'll get a flavor of that through the video collage.
Then a couple other quick pieces of merch. So we get an opportunity, so you can sell one thing. And so we partnered with, it's a local graphic designer, Petra Ives. She's got a company, Lime & Company. If you guys need any marketing or branding done, I encourage you to look her up. She's fantastic. This is her artwork. And so it was something I was aware of, and we worked with her to rebrand it for AIA. So we're selling beer glasses, pint glasses, and we'll have those available.
Oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah, so it's a lot of the legacy of our city, and it will come with a card that will explain it. The next one's
Beautifully letterpressed,
Yeah.
so it'll feel very quality, high-end.
Sounds like a game to me.
Sure.
It's a perfect game.
Yeah. So we're hopeful to have, we'll sell these at the conference. If you register, you have an opportunity to buy them, please do. It supports our organization, and then we'll likely have some afterward, and
Yeah.
we're hoping to continue on with this.
You bet. Oh, no, there it is. We can get it together.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
So fun.
How long have you been working on this?
10 years.
How
How long has it been, man?
January? I don't know.
Yeah.
Alright, that's
A
fast.
few months.
Yeah.
A few months.
Most of this artwork was already done. Luckily, it was something I was just aware of. and so
Yeah.
we partnered with her. But yeah, the whole thing has been, we've been busy.
You've been busy, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, last thing, and this may become something going forward, but we're partnering with AIAS. They do a napkin sketch every year, which is
Student organization.
Yeah,
AIA.
student organization. Architects are known for drawing brilliant things on napkins when you're eating at restaurants, I guess. That's the deal, probably after a cocktail. Don't drink cocktail napkin. But so we're partnering with them, and the idea is that they do this every year. They have an auction and they have an event. And so we're gonna work with them to select a winner this year that will be put on a t-shirt, and we'll be having that as again, merch at the event as we go forward. This is kind of a mock-up that we had done with a Rob Quigley sketch.
Oh.
So it'll be pretty simple, but just bringing a napkin sketch, bringing a little bit of architecture out. And it's a way to support our student organization. And again, just to give people, local architects and any designer, an opportunity to be represented.
Okay, the discounts. The discounts are substantial for new members and students. The students I already spoke to you about. So it's not inexpensive, right? However, what we want to do is build on our membership. And so the promotions that AIA National has allowed us to promote with them is that if you're a resident of California, conference registration is completely free if you become a new member. So that is potentially a $12.99 or $14.99, about $499 discount. And this is the website. So if you go to conferenceonarchitecture.com/California, you find that, or email me. I'll send you the direct links. And then the other one is volunteering. It's a little bit of an elaborate process. AIA National, as you might imagine, has done this a long time. Lessons learned is it's all well and good to have folks sign up for volunteers, but when you've got 12,000 to 50,000 attendees, you can't have anyone not show up, right? They all have to be accountable. So this volunteer process, you want to take a picture of it, means that you actually have to register for the conference first. Then you'll be sent a page where the volunteer slots are. First come, first serve in terms of the slots. You pick your slots. You need to pick 8 hours worth, whether all in one day, 4 hours split up, 2 hours a day for the 4 days, however it is. And then once you actually complete those hours at the conference, you get reimbursed for your full registration fee. Not the tours, but the full registration fee. And so that's how they basically realized how they can make sure they have the best responsible, right, volunteer pool that they can bring together and yet get them the registration fee back.
Can I ask what do you expect the volunteers to be doing?
So the slots are, the website will be sent, but it's all the typical things you've seen at every big conference. There's greeters in the front, there's folks who manage the workshops, the breakout rooms, right? There's folks who guide you throughout the conference, right? And welcome you in. Of course, there's check-in, registration, all those things. So it's all the things you imagine it's as broad as possible at the conference itself. Michael?
The cost for first time, I guess, emerging professionals, what would that be? Because one of the people from Eskimo might be interested in AI.
So emerging professionals, when did you graduate from school?
From grad school, 2024.
Because technically your membership is free for 18 months after you graduate, and you just out of that? Yeah, it sounds. Okay,
Yeah,
let me say it anyway, because if it applies to anybody else's circle of folks, the runway is long for AIA students, meaning that, If you want to be an AIA member, it is free, and Michael can validate this, he's one of our greatest longtime volunteers. 18 months runway, after you graduate, become an AIA member, it's still free for 18 months, so hopefully give you that 18 months of, network, interview, all the things one needs to do to, get on a career path and hopefully get you to become an associate member and then a full member at some point. Michael, I don't know if you want to add anything?
No.
Me?
Yeah, is there anything specific that would, I'm sorry, that Mike is in front.
So if you're not a licensed architect, membership, you would be an associate member, and your membership is,
A fraction, it's like 1/3. It's at $200 something.
no, it's like
$300
$300, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's
Still
less than half of what a full membership is, and associate members get $200 off the registration fee as well.
There you go.
Yeah, I was able to fill it out as a new, I'm originally from Jersey, so I was able to get the, California resident discount new membership, so
Great.
we were able to get that.
So you have
thank
registration.
you. Yeah, it works.
Well,
it
I'm glad
works.
you brought that up. Turned out to be a good story at the end, even though I didn't know it was going to end there. Thank you.
Yeah.
All righty. So, AIA 26 DOL is the code to put in when you register, and you will be put on the list of interested volunteers to be given the choice to pick your slots. So that's it.
So I might just close with, June is a big event for us. It hasn't happened in 23 years, as Bennett said, so it's a unique opportunity. It's not the only way to engage with architecture and with the AIA though, so after this, every year we have a local awards ceremony that happens. We have the lecture series for a year that I mentioned. We have a lifetime achievement and the Young Architect Award event and gala that happens. We have our own conference. Used to call it the Little A, sort of like the Big A. But now we're partnered with U.S. Green Building Council, and so it has been rebranded as Converge. So it's a day where there are lectures from local architects and local environmental designers talking about good design and sustainability. If this is at any level interesting to you, please come check out our calendar. There's a lot of events there. We have 12 different committees that cover a lot of different topics, from technology to the environment to historical architecture. So there's just lots of resource, and we're really just excited to promote that and hope to bring as many people into the conversation as we can.
All right. So if you're looking for inspiration, if you're looking to network, if you're looking to see the latest technologies in our field, great ideas, connect with 12 to 15,000 residents, come join us at the conference and before and afterwards. Thank you.
Good question.
Yes, Mike.
Let's take questions, won't you?
Yeah, we're done.
I would be the first one then. Since I was, 23 years ago, I was there, and the one before that. One of the things that's important about the AI convention, in addition to all the stuff that's for the profession, and the reason you're here, and maybe an extension of what you talked about with big communities, is what happens next? Everybody goes home, forget the whole business, or do you continue? One of the things we've talked about with the Both Design Capital, and it's been an ongoing discussion in San Diego, but both of you might remember, but how do we elevate and continue the conversation on the importance of design? What's left over after everybody goes back to their town, but you're still here? How does the AIA engage with the Friends of San Diego Architecture, the Architecture Foundation, and really make a dent in the importance, in the discussion about the importance of design? And is there a legacy? When we did the one 23 years ago, we left the Academy of Neuroscience for Architecture, which has blossomed into a very important international organization connecting science and design. So, just go on and a little bit about that.
Sure, I'll start. I think our hope is that it's very different than it used to be. You did a lot more work than I'm doing, I think, 23 years ago. So
That's why I'm not involved in it.
That's
why you've been able to stay alive that long.
Yeah. they kind of bring a package in a way, right? And so I think that's a little bit different. So we are trying, a lot of what you heard us talking about is how do we have our stamp and our voice on it. A couple things that we're hoping to get out of it. One is we've been building relationship with the city over the last 2 years. I think we've not had voice on a lot of things for a long time. So the communities by design that I mentioned, that is our first really substantial moment that we're saying, when you have a conversation and when we can be at the table, here's what we can bring to the table. It doesn't cost you anything. It's good ideas. So we're trying to use that as a stepping stone to continue to build that relationship and get ourselves back in the conversation with the city. I think also we're hopeful to go to events like this and let people know about what it is that the AIA does and brings about, so that we can continue these types of conversations and kind of broaden our opportunities. We're talking with Lauren about, the 50 years of Orchids and Onions, 100 years of AIA coming up. So, I think we're just trying to broaden the conversation mostly and use this as energy to support that. Yeah.
Well, I want to add to that, and I would say I think what's changed, Mike, is that we're all talking to each other. Because, to your point about the downtown core, is Bennett and I talked, and we had lunch and laughed it up, and then went, oh, we gotta go do stuff. But because of our conversation, I knew next time I talked to Betsy at the Downtown Partnership what was kind of going on. So when we had open house this year, we made sure, or I made sure, they weren't so happy about it at our place, but that we had Civic Center as a neighborhood for the first time.
Yep.
And it was a little harder. It's not quite a neighborhood, but we did our best, and we pulled in those people and West and the Towers and Westgate and, and we cobbled it together and they were very happy about it and everyone's looking forward and finding ways now. Smith Group wants to be there, so that will take, okay, so that moves it forward, right? So that's so us talking to each other is really probably the key, which was not something that we have been doing very well. So I think that answers some of it. Mike is kind of like, hey, we all have a purpose together. It's just like, hey, we're going to do our part. No one's going to be able to do that by themselves. So that's all I got on that one.
I appreciate that. I truly believe we have a lot of organizations in San Diego. Everybody wants what's good for San Diego, but we haven't always been working collaboratively towards it. So
yeah, Orchids and Onions.
Yeah.
AIA had it for 50 years now, 25 years, and now we've had it 25 years. So when we say it's the 50th year of Orchids and Onions, it's a collaborative. So, we'll say we had it for the best 25 years, but still, so we're not going to get up there and say, hey, it was just us, we're gonna let him rest for a weekend and then we'll see what you got for the rest of the year, but yeah.
So let me add, I'm gonna add on to that, and then we'll go to the next question. My entire career has been about being a citizen designer. And the beautiful thing is when I had the great honor of now joining AIA San Diego, the national organization, one of their pillars is citizen architects.
Right.
It's always been citizen architects. I go, okay, that is literally what I live for, right? And Mike knows this, we worked together such a long time. I was fortunately in the Arts and Culture Commission for 9 years under 3 mayors in the city of San Diego. I know full well there's 600 appointments in this city, of which 300 never get filled. But it first begins with educating and talking about the notion of citizen architects and what does that mean about stepping out of your bubble of service providing and being really enrolled in your neighborhood, in your community, right? One of the first things that happened through the leadership of Megan Groth and Heather, who was at your office, was that we convened 18 of the city's department directors from real estate, development services, all that, at the AIA office, the AIA San Diego office. That supposedly hadn't been done in a decade, 10 years. And they were eager, right, to really be engaged, with us to be engaged with them and vice versa, right? So, but that's all well and good if we can't get our membership to step up and become those citizen architects. Right. So it becomes with that mindset, right? So we're working on that mantra. We say that at every event that we ever had. Citizen architects is what we all should aspire to think about being, Not all of us were raised that way. My mom raised all me and my siblings that way since we were in elementary school, volunteering every pretty much week of our lives since we were little kids. It just is. But there's so many opportunities unmet in the city to be involved. There's so many committees we will form, right, with Architecture Foundation and others, right, partnerships. And it needs people power, design power, architect power to make them the most it can be for our community. So it begins there. Once we build up that momentum, from a Tracy marketing standpoint, all we need to do is start telling the stories. So we become role models for other aspiring and emerging architects and designers, so they can see what it looks like, right, to be doing that. And when we speak about it, we're not talking about just the projects that we're working on, but how it impacts the community and how we keep all of that in mind when we're working on these projects. They will see that that's the way to look at it, to look at every project, right? And so we began yesterday by at least starting with video profiles of our board members. So they speak to that in a video profile series that we'll promote. Now, we're gonna run through the 18 board members fairly quickly. So after that, other community leaders, right, will be interviewed, because we need to show, right, what it looks like to be the kind of citizen architect that we aspire to be as an organization that champions that, as a national organization that champions that, and we're living it here. So the rest of this PR, and if we do that well, as Tracy knows very well, the rest of the public will start to learn that architects are the ones who built every neighborhood, every part of the community they've ever grown up in. They just weren't aware of it because we didn't remind them, right? So we need that big PR campaign. So after these projects get created and all that stuff, funding for that kind of public awareness will follow. And we have a lot of stories besides the national park. 50 years of organs and onions, we turn 100 in a year and a half from now to 2028, right? That is a historic milestone.
I just think it's a good idea, like Mike is saying, and Bennett and Brad, well, Ben, as well as Laura, that we need to collaborate, but it's also good to continue the engagement, like we're all saying, after we have major events. So like from attending AIA conferences with Michael through the past years, and other conferences that we attended, most times a lot of us will get together and do something like continuing that conversation after the fact. It may be in the means of like a forum that we put together, or other types of use of technology, be it Zoom or whatever, or webinars. So the continued engagement that we're threading together in this room is a really good and viable idea, because most people don't know about all the organizations. It's like I point out to Laura, some people don't know that it's SDAF that she's talking about, but I do, because I know her, like I know being the rest of you. So I think just being more public about what it is that the organizations do and seeing the faces of those organizations, that will make people engage more, because they're seeing us as those leaders leading the way to do that.
Here, here. So if you guys don't know, Michael Robinson's on our board. That's a powerhouse team duo right there of architects. And Michael's also the local chapter president of NOMA, which stands for?
National Organization of Minority Architects.
There you go.
And that's something that Bennett mentioned, the citizen architect role. And I know Mike has provided a letter of recommendation for me for AIA fellowship as a citizen architect. That's very important, because one of the items that we talked about in the interview yesterday, why do you want to be an architect, or what do you provide to the profession? And for myself, I just mentioned to him the fact that the BIPOC community is not well represented in this profession. So a person like me gives another person like me a role model to say that this is something that I can pursue as a career opportunity. So I'm just very excited about Bennett's energy. I had the opportunity to spend quite a bit of time with him. Also, Ben, I've known him for quite a while. Ben is a member of this SD NOMA chapter and has been for quite a while. We've had a good friendship over the years. And of course, Mike is an esteemed architect here in San Diego. So it's just been a very good opportunity for my wife and I to be here. And we always want to be a part of the community wherever we are.
And I want to add,
Yes.
Ben was the person that made sure that SDAF partnered with us and did a scholarship with their organs and onions back when they had COVID. Those funds were used to donate to SD NOMA scholarship to a well-deserving student who was helping her family raise her niece and nephew. She's going on now to go to Yale, so some people may be familiar with her.
There you go.
Yeah, so she's,
Congrats.
yeah.
Fabulous.
So we're happy to have a welcoming that most often people don't experience, and that's the good thing, you know, to be engaged in situations like this, and you're made to feel welcome. That's, I think a lot of people don't recognize, that's the most important part of this, feeling welcome.
So there's a sociologist have done research, and they have always determined that in any community, it could be your neighborhood, it could be your region, it could be an industry community, in communities of interest, that only 5% of any community are what they call the responsibles. The ones who do the work. As you know, at every board, right? You can have 20 people on a board, it's 3 people that do all the work. Okay, but that's true in every community in reality. So sociologists have documented this. You guys here in the room are the responsibles. The ones we get to talk to are always going to be the responsibles because you show up, right? It's the 95% of the other people who have an opinion that never seem to get around to doing anything that we got to move the needle on, right? And only public awareness, engagement to do that. So there is going to be some necessary training and acculturation of what it means to be a citizen architect that is about community engagement, right? Because we can talk the talk, but if we're not there, where they show up to where the communities are and speak a truth about how design can really make a difference in their life, right? In ways they don't yet know, but you are there to inform them in the few minutes you get at every meeting, right? It starts there, right? And I'm also working with the New School of Architecture students to start a program to teach the students to not just have the mindset of being service providers, but to be citizen architects, aspiring citizen architects themselves. But it begins with showing them what it looks like to show up, to be more outward. Hey, I'm a fine artist from UCSD by background, so I have been historically the most introverted person you will ever meet. Literally, I led nothing until I am. If you ask all my buddies from college and high school, if you ask all my friends from high school, I never spoke up. I never planned anything. I never did anything. I literally was a follower the entire way. Right? And because of my culture, I was also taught never to look anyone in the eye because it's disrespectful. Which in the US, that makes no sense. Right? But in my culture, you look down at the belt. Right? Because otherwise, what are you standing up to me for? Right? You just listen to what I got to say. You just do it. Right? There's no conversation here with the kid. So I had to teach myself all those things. Well, you can't wait till you're an adult to learn those things, right? So how do we have programs where we teach the students while they're learning the skills and the technical aspects of being an architect, how to recognize its impact to the community, but be a spokesperson for it if they're really going to be a professional architect. And that's a program I'm working with the New School of Architecture to start. And I'm sure it's probably other places, so I'm not going to invent anything from scratch if I don't have to, but we'll bring it here. Hi.
I've come from a little different angle. I started as a young traveler, saw cities of the world, got excited. My wife and I created a business called the Travel Store, a store for
Yes.
originally in Pacific
When
Beach.
I said I was
We were
Harbor
following
Club, I was in your shop all the
footsteps.
time.
Yeah. We moved to Norton Plaza when
Wow.
it first opened. I was excited about the possibility that maybe San Diego could become more like those exciting cities. I grew up here and it was a sleepy Navy town. And I thought, God, wouldn't that be amazing if San Diego developed in that way. Got involved in some of the community organizations, was on the community planning group, chaired it for 3 years. But back in that era, Mike remembers well, the young architects coming up were designing stuff in downtown, people like Rob Quigley, Kevin DeFreitas, Jonathan Siegel. And what was exciting as a non-designer was to go into meetings and listen to those professionals talk about the buildings, because the developers and the architects were coming in presenting what they were planning to do. And they were getting criticism, they were getting ideas, they were getting praise. And, I learned to just see what was coming through that process. What concerns me now is I don't feel like the city is listening. The city is not, requiring developers and architects to bring their project to community groups. There's not, before the process, you don't get a chance to evaluate. You have one chance to evaluate after the thing is built in the orchids and onions, but you don't have an opportunity to.
That's the voice though, and it's too bad, it's
You know,
late.
wouldn't
Yeah.
it be great if you had a chance to voice up front? And
Yes.
this is where I think that what really should change, there's, you know, in fact, my sister lives in Madrid. When you go to Spain, you can't get a bad meal because at a restaurant because it just the place wouldn't survive. You know, there public pressure is, I think, in the case of downtown, was really a positive thing. I just watched a lot of good things happen that came out of those meetings that I sat in on. So, and I'm concerned now about what's happening, particularly with the buildings getting built in Uptown and North Park. There's a whole lot of 8-story buildings. And I'm not sure that design is up front on some of those projects. You know, is the city that's getting built now something that we will be proud of, well, that you will be proud of 50 years from now? You know,
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair comment, and it's not, you're not the only one that has that feeling. There's been a lot of change in the city. You know, I think that's part of our hope of having a relationship with them again, is to start to bring value to that. You know, I think there's a lot of different ways that manifest. Some cities have city architects, we don't currently.
used to.
Yeah, used to. Civic San Diego just went away. That was the program that used to have voice. You know, I think we also, as a community, can in some ways vote with our dollars and our feet. I think supporting design, seeing the value of design is important as a community. Yeah, and you know, I'm not from San Diego, so I can't claim to have a long history. I've been here 15 years. My perspective of it is we're still a place that has a lot of people that's learning to be a city in some ways. I'm excited about the transit that's been expanding, and I think we've done a lot of good things in the 15 years that I've been here, but there's a lot more we can do. You know, the neighborhoods, there's a lot of discussion going on. There's been a lot of debate about the ADU laws and, you know, the scale. But we're densifying too, and we need to solve housing, so it's all very complicated, right? But I think I appreciate the notion of being able to have a voice and being engaged and being an opinion. That's how we make a good city. Yeah.
Michael, let me add just one thing before, and then it'll be Michael, I promise. So the fortunate thing is my background is I used to be the vice president of Jacob Center for Neighborhood Innovation. The most extreme example of community engagement, right? A true blank slate before anything is even starting to be planned. Right now with, you know, alternatives to just get checked off, but true, you know, blank canvases for the community. And now that we're getting invited to be at the table in advisory groups and all these things, at least we bring that lens, and it'll be somewhere in between, right? It can't be the, you know, the grand experiment that we did at the Jacob Center for all those years, which changed me completely into, you know, the kind of citizen designer that I have become, I hope. But from where the city is now and other development projects is to at least having a voice at the table that just says there is alternate ways, right, to make sure that the voices historically unheard in the community actually are part of the process and not glossed over, because a lot of the charrettes and the engagement is really token charrettes, where they're there to, you know, to just sign off on alternatives, and things have already been decided. We've all seen that, right? So we just got to fight the good fight to kind of get earlier in the conversation, as Mike was doing many years ago. We need to catalyze that again. Okay, Mike.
Yeah, I would maybe just also overlay that change is hard, right? And so I think at times it's also okay to recognize that different isn't bad necessarily, right? And so how do we have the conversation? Because I think a lot of, you know, what we're going through and we try to figure out affordability and increased population and all those things, it's not, as you make a change, it doesn't go from A to B and it's all easy. There's a lot of in-between time that's there. And so I would just encourage everybody to be open to change, also be reasonably critical when it makes sense. I think both of those are that's a debate that needs to happen, and there's two sides to the debate, and not either side is right or wrong, you know.
And briefly, I'll say to your point, not only do I serve as the president of SDNOM, but also I serve as on the Balboa Park Committee, and as a part of the Committee 100 here at Balboa Park with Mike Stephan. And Mike is a very strong component of design review, which I think is very important, rather than allowing the project to be built without some involvement or criticism about what the project should be. He's very instrumental in providing design review as a part of the project. And when I sit on the Balboa Park Committee, I always look at the projects that they're going to do here at Balboa Park and make comments about how they're going to be a part of the community and how it's going to reflect some portions of San Diego and how other people's views can be input into the design process. So I think design review is very important, and it helps you to get a better project, you know, as we go through that process.
But like he's saying, the stakeholders should be involved. I think, like you're saying, that process is still forming. They don't really have that in place here. And there's some changes and some revisions being done, but you're true to that.
We used to have it.
Because where we're from,
We could do it again.
we're like, man, we're not from here. So where we're from, even when Michael was project manager for the housing authority, they had the stakeholders where you had to engage the stakeholders throughout the community because you have a voice. You're paying for the stuff.
That part.
Yeah.
That's the part. Well, and that is that part. Like, it's weird. People don't have a voice.
Right,
And when people don't have a voice, then they just talk.
right.
And when they stop talking, that's the worst part.
Yeah, it's lip service.
And that's when everyone's unhappy, and it will continue to be unhappy, and it doesn't matter what you build.
And the
It will
main
be
thing,
awful.
and the main thing about that, the end user is not involved.
No,
That's
correct.
why
The
she's
stakeholder,
outside
the
the community.
stakeholder,
Yeah.
They're gonna use the facility.
Yes.
Why isn't their opinion
Right.
matter?
But-
Why doesn't it matter?
But like Bennett said, we all see them just go through the formality and check a box.
Yeah.
You're physically there, or you were invited after the fact. You didn't get the memo. No, because the memo didn't go out. It just showed on the news afterwards. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a song and
It's
dance.
not in the RFP,
Right.
it's not budgeted in
That's
for
right.
substantial community engagement.
That's
So if it
right.
doesn't start there, it's hard to include it,
Yes,
right? Because now it's on the architect firm's dime
right.
to truly do deep community engagement.
That's
And
it.
that's,
Yeah.
can't be all on the shoulders of
Right.
the firms,
Well, that's where Mike Stephan comes in.
especially in the back.
You know, this is a great example of take the ADUs. Okay, Catherine over here built a beautiful ADU in her backyard. Okay, we were way early on, like 10 years ago or more, promoting the idea. And then these sets of rules came in that created, you know, these massive backyard, 20 units in a backyard. It's the perfect example of the law of unintended consequences, where as soon as you think you have something set up, and then you don't pay attention to it, and then you get what you get instead. And it's a lesson that has to be learned. And it's a lesson that has to, you know, people have to face that. They have to say, this is exactly what happened. This backfired on us. So now we have to correct it. And
There has been
the way to
some
correct it is to start, you know, having people monitor what goes on as it's going on instead of waiting for the result.
They backed off some of the density allowances. I'll plug, make a pitch. We have the Regional Advocacy Advisory Board, the RDAC. Michael is the leader of. We've had several sessions, the AIA has, where we brought in economists and developers and neighborhood voices and had a pretty open dialogue about ADU experience that the city has had over the last couple of years. And so that's a place where we're trying to step in and be able to have a multi-phase conversation about it, understand the sides, and just try to move forward to something that is more functional for our neighborhoods and moves forward.
Well, Yeah, thanks everyone for your great questions. One more,
I
one more,
had
Rebecca.
a question. I didn't want to interrupt the great conversation, but I had a question about the conference.
Sure.
Oh,
that's it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You mentioned about I saw on the schedule when I was signing up for it too about the volunteering or the mentoring of the K-12 kids, children. I was interested in that, but I don't know how I would be a mentor or who I would need to, since I don't have the volunteer ticket. But yeah, so I was curious about how to go about that.
How to get involved
Yes.
in that piece.
Yeah.
Let me give you my card.
Okay.
Or Bennett's card, and we can put you in touch. Are you interested in being formally a volunteer, or you just want to get engaged with the K-12 as part of your?
I would like to do both.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's
perfect.
the work of one of our committees.
Okay.
So absolutely.
people who are doing the
Yeah.
Yeah.
portion.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Well, I want to thank Beth and Bennett. It's been a great discussion, and I think it reinforces the convention is another opportunity to elevate the conversation about design in the city of San Diego and the region. And that's really an important part of, to me, is one of the major parts of the benefits of having the conference here. And I'm looking forward to giving up my AIA membership so I can rejoin from Unless you find me a better deal, man.
What was your phrase about consequences?
Unintended
consequences.
But the other thing, it really, what you've talked about in the questions and answers, show the importance of design and how it really affects how we live. Design matters. It really shapes our behavior, where we live, how we get about, how we feel about our neighbors. All these things that really come out of design and be critical. It's critical that designers, architects, landscape architects get engaged with the community and really listen and then offer whatever they have to offer. So I want to thank you for coming. Couple of things.
Gifts.
Presents. Christmas presents. Why don't you go home and read?
Yes.
You can exchange books after
Thank you.
you do it.
Wow.
And I would be remiss if you didn't have a copy.
I have a copy of that in my bag,
I do too, but you know what?
Hey, there's
We'll
room
have
for
it-
more.
we'll have it
Yeah.
all.
Thank you. Oh, next week.
Yes, please.
Next month, Tal Softy and Ricardo Robinis will be talking about the Oceanside Museum and Irving Gill and Oceanside.
Ooh.
A great place to do a staycation now, by the way.
Lauren, get in there.
Yeah.
Go get in there.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on,
You're an
Lauren.
industry leader. Get in there. Go. Come on, they're standing there waiting for you. That's great. I'm so happy.
Lauren doesn't like to take photos.
Okay.
And when Lauren's up here, I can tell you that we're celebrating the 51st anniversary of Oregon Design Years.
This is a fight that goes on.
The
every
first-
Oh,
day.
you say 51st, she says 50?
The first
Well, what
one.
does Roger say?
Roger can't find her documentation about it, so we're letting it go.
Lauren, don't go with you. The reason I say that, to show how things have changed. The first one was done, and AIA and the American Planning Association got scared of lawsuits and quit. And the new school put it on. And then AIA took it over, and here we are. And it's a very important program about saying, what's good and what's bad, and what we should be doing about the quality of living. So thank you all for coming.
Mike, how many boards have I had you on?
Yes.
I love a good speech. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You provide the opportunity.
I know,
Thank you.
every
Thank you all
time.
for coming.
Thank you.